Jordan's former foreign minister is Mrouan, and he joins me from Amman. He was also Jordan's first ever ambassador to Israel and is now at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Sir, thank you. You heard the foreign minister there who fires the last bullet and so forth. Look, everybody, both sides, know that that is grotesque and that is inhuman, but they continue anyway. So, a really simple question. Who has the power to force a ceasefire on the two parties?
Richard, the ceasefire is going to take place, whether it is tomorrow or after tomorrow. There are many countries that can help do that. Egypt, Jordan, the United States, certainly. The question is not whether we achieve a ceasefire or not. This is the third, fourth, fifth war on Gaza in the last 10 years. The question is what happens next. Does anyone, including the United States, have the appetite to go beyond a ceasefire and address the root causes of this, which is the occupation? Is anyone willing to put in place a serious plan to end the occupation or not? I'm afraid that is not the case. And so everybody is focused on a ceasefire today, but come next week, we're going to go back again to the same old story. The real story is the occupation.
Fine.
And that has to stop.
But we know the answer to that because we've, as you said, sir, of the 3rd, 4th and 5th attempt of this sort of skirmishes and wars. Oslo is just about been and gone. And there is no appetite, it would seem, by either party to deal with it.
Exactly, and that is why the Palestinians today have taken matters into their own hand. The Palestinians were promised, through the Oslo agreements, were promised a two-state solution. 30 years have passed without one taking place. And what happened in the meantime? While the international community was looking for a two-state solution, it also ignored gross violations of human rights by Israel in the hope that a two-state solution would, make the question moot. That has not happened. And what is happening today is that the Palestinians have never been more unified. Not just the Palestinians under occupation, but the Palestinians who are today Israeli citizens.
Okay, but let's just take that, the sort of demonstrations that we saw, the Palestinians, the marches around the world. How do they translate that into a message to leadership, whether it's Abbas or whether it's Hamas, bearing in mind that elections had been postponed? And how does that message on the Palestinian front transmit itself into a shift in policy?
The message, the world is changing, Richard. The question of rights is becoming center stage, not just in the occupied territories, but all over the world. This is the message that the Palestinians are giving. Today, the Palestinians are not just rising against the occupation. They are also rising against Israeli practices, which many organizations around the world have termed as apartheid. Just the word apartheid 5 years ago was considered taboo. Anybody who said it would be accused of anti-Semitism. Today, Human Rights Watch is saying it. B'Tselem, the largest Israeli human rights organization, is saying it. Carnegie is saying it. Today, this is what we are. That's what the international community will have to deal with.
But
what Mr. Netanyahu has done.
But you've still got the problem before you get there. And I know we're going in circles here, believe me. I'm aware that, we're back to where we started. You've still got the same problem of the Israelis saying Hamas is shielding its weapons and its fighters with humans and hospitals and children. And anyway, until they stop lobbing those rockets, there can be no discussion, which, I grant you, takes us back to where we started.
Of course it does. Negotiations have been going on for 30 years, Richard. They were not contingent on a war between Hamas and Israel. This is not a tit for tat. We've had a process that has gone on for 30 years without producing a solution. And so, it is futile to keep talking about ceasefires and who, as our foreign minister has said, who fired the last shot and who did not. That's not the issue.
All right.
I'm pessimistic about the future. All I want to say is that the Palestinians themselves today, through their unity, are going to push the world to acknowledge that their human rights have been violated, and that will not be able to continue indefinitely.
Sir, I hope we have you back when we'll be talking. You'll be optimistic, but we'll look forward to that. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.